Then at that point, the tournament officially begins.
At this point, Shang Tsung, irritated by Raiden's interference, says, all right, fine, tournament's going to begin, and he teleports everybody to their fights.
Anyway, Shang Tsung just teleports everyone out to go fight.
Everyone gets teleported elsewhere on the island.
Which is great. No downtime, like the first movie. Do they guys have, like, hotel rooms or something? Anyway, you rip someone's arms off of the appetizers, then tosses them into battle.
It looks like this is like a battle royale kind of situation, or maybe like the Hunger Games.
We see some other notable characters from the game, with Johnny Cage taking on Baraka, Sonya taking on Reptile, and Liu Kang taking on Kitana.
First fight, Johnny Cage versus Baraka.
Johnny Cage versus Baraka.
First up is Johnny Cage versus Baraka.
Fight!
They fight in an abandoned city of some kind, presumably somewhere just maybe made up for the island. Who the hell knows?
Johnny finds, like, the armament storage room, which I originally thought was a bar. Because, I mean, it was Johnny Cage, go figure.
We start with Johnny wandering around, kind of looking, hello, what's going on? And he's looking around at what he thinks is still somehow is a set. He thinks maybe he's been drugged or something. He's an idiot.
Johnny finds himself wandering around this old castle built into the mountain face, and he's complaining about craft services and his agent when Baraka shows up.
He finds this barrel with gunpowder in it, and he's starting to think, like, man, this is really weird. He's a bit of an idiot. Clearly. Baraka attacks him, and he still thinks like, oh, this dude's part of the production. And he starts slowly piecing it together over the course of the fight that, this is not a movie, and that this dude is trying to kill me.
Also, Johnny is still stupid and think this is a very in-method movie.
At one point, Baraka drags his arm claw thing across the bricks of the wall trying to stab Johnny, and it creates sparks, which catches onto some banners or rags or whatever and starts a fire. The fire then reaches the barrels full of gunpowder and creates massive explosions. So now this like mountainside building that they're in, the series of buildings that clearly are built like on this mountain, are starting to collapse and slide down. So it's pretty cool.
They have a decent battle, but it ends with the destruction of the castle.
Basically, the whole place catches fire in a wooden room full of gunpowder.
The fight now becomes a chase through a collapsing building while there's debris and stuff falling everywhere, the gaps opening up in front of you.
And the whole palace comes crashing down around them.
I just feel this island resets itself every cycle. I mean, the gunpowder was still good. Wouldn't be that way after 500 years of this stuff.
Johnny wins when Baraka is trapped by falling debris while Johnny jumps to safety.
Cage barely escapes, jumping off of a balcony and then turning just in time to flick off Baraka.
But not before flipping him off and yelling out, "Eat me, Buttercup!" Winner is Johnny Cage. Presumably a fatality because we never see Baraka again.
Sonya versus Reptile.
The next fight is Sonya Blade versus Reptile.
Sonya is matched up against Reptile.
We saw Reptile very briefly in some of those crowd scenes at the introduction to the tournament, and this is the much more reptilian, like post Mortal Kombat 9 version of Reptile. So no ninja in this one. He straight looks like a big alligator man.
And Reptile's actually invisible, so that's not fun for her.
Of course, their fight takes place in a swamp because I really gotta say, I don't love this version of Reptile. Old school Reptile, the first two games, and of course, like Trilogy and stuff like that, was one of my favorite characters. Really love the Green Ninja. Don't love the knockoff Killer Croc that we have now. He just, I don't know. I honestly, I was kind of excited when he wasn't in the new game. I was like, oh, finally, we can get away with this awful Reptile.
Meanwhile, Reptile hunts Sonya like the predator in the swamp.
It's basically Predator versus Sonya, because she has to throw mud on him to actually see him.
We do get to see his invisibility on display where he takes some cheap shots on Sonya, and we see his acid spit melt the gun like on her wrist or whatever.
She dodges his acid.
The fight's not much to speak of. Sonya wins when she covers Reptile in like some water and mud so she can see him. He tries to make a move, and she does that cool like helicopter handstand split thing, catches him midair, and they do one of the X-ray style attacks where you see the impact of the attack, and she shatters like every bone in his body.
And then she just decapitates him.
And then uses like a wire in her wrist to garrote him, jumps over him and cuts his head off by pulling the wire through his throat with a heads up.
And she uses a wire to decapitate him in a pretty brutal way.
That was awesome.
Now, some of the dialogue is eye-roll inducing, but it works all the same. One such example is Sonya's line like, "With the blade, you're gonna get cut." Like, it's so bad, but it lands for some reason.
Winner, obviously, Sonya Blade.
Scorpion hunts down one of the Lin Kuei looking for Sub-Zero in the woods.
Next fight is Scorpion versus some guy from the Lin Kuei. Obviously, this is not really anything. It's just a moment to remind us that Scorpion's going to kill everybody in blue, which he only sees one more of. So it's really a weird scene, but he quickly just tears the dude's head off with his spiked chain. So, yeah, winner Scorpion.
And then we get Liu Kang versus Katana.
Also, we get a repeat of the Katana versus Liu Kang battle from the first movie, and that she gets to just, walk away.
The next fight is another weird one. It's Liu Kang versus Katana. It just seems like this is being used to set up future projects.
Katana pulls out her iconic fans, and Liu Kang uses his fireball fist.
He does not want to fight her, and at the same time is clearly showing that he's a better fighter. Like, he's pretty badass, all while trying not to fight. So she kind of has some cryptic words with him, then just walks away. So winner Liu Kang?
We get one of the best scenes in the movie afterwards, where there's an awesome battle board. It reminded me like the movie Battle Royale. It's pretty cool. All the warriors and where they are.
Elsewhere, Raiden, Quan Chi, and Shang Tsung exchange pleasantries and threats.
For some reason, Netherrealm is controlled by Outworld, or fighting for them. What happens if Netherrealm wins? Doesn't that screw up the 10 contests in a row win for Outworld? Regardless, Shang Tsung decided to cheat and send in the Black Dragon, like a whole half army of dudes with guns. What boat did they come over on?
Sonya and Johnny run into each other in the woods, and they team up with Liu Kang before running into Scorpion, who's currently massacring a battalion of Black Dragon warriors. Oh, and Sonya kicks Johnny in the junk.
Johnny is slowly falling in love with Sonya, even though she keeps crushing his balls.
They sit around a fire and talk while eating beef jerky. Oh, and Scorpion is too cool for that, so he's off in the corner folding his arms. Then Lord Raiden appears to explain that they're between the realms. The fate of the world is being determined by some karate tournament? Are you kidding me?
And we get a call back to the first movie. The fate of the world is part of some karate tournament.
Wow, you seem very fun, Mr. Scorpion. Favorite line in the movie. Johnny's great in this. And then Sonya kicks Johnny in the nuts again. In the games, they have a kid together. I don't think that's happening in this version.
So a bunch more fighting happens, and there's a subplot where the Black Dragons show up, clearly, manipulated through Kano and Shang Tsung, and they're going to kill everybody.
They end up storming the castle, but get stopped by the remaining Black Dragons.
So Scorpion disguises himself as one of the Black Dragons, and quickly he starts killing people with his spear. And
Scorpion makes quick work of Kano's men.
We already know that Kano is working with Shang Tsung, who also orders the Black Dragons to come in and kill the Earth Realmers. But with the help of Scorpion, they are able to take out most of the Black Dragons.
Oh, Scorpion is doing his own thing and just killing people running through the forest. Lin Kuei, Black Dragon, doesn't matter. Scorpion heals you. Scorpion don't care.
One of my favorite moments with that was towards the end when Scorpion spears like 3 bad guys in the head, and you get that close-up x-ray through each head. And then, of course, as he pulls the chains and all their heads get smushed together on the chain, and just their head and spine goes one way while their bodies slump to the ground. I just thought that was really well done. I liked that scene.
Scorpion shows up. Everyone does some serious fighting back, more than would be expected with martial artists versus literally over a dozen guys with guns.
Sonya is shown that she's a total badass, and she keeps saving Johnny Cage's life over and over again, while he's just like, what the hell?
We get to see Kang going full Neo.
The real appeal of this scene to me is we get to see Liu Kang really show off what he can do. Like, he is just wrecking people, man.
He dodges bullets and pulls some sweet Bruce Lee moves.
Once it's clear that the good guys are going to win the fight, Kano starts shooting at them. Starts firing this big assault rifle kind of thing at them.
Then Sub-Zero shows up.
Kano shows up, gets stopped by Sub-Zero because it's not honorable.
And then Sub-Zero also shows up and takes out Kano temporarily.
And Sub-Zero shows up and kicks him off the roof for dishonoring the tournament.
Most of the cast is filled with lesser-known voice actors, but hearing Steve Blum voice Sub-Zero again was a nice treat. He was the voice of the character in Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, and he does a great job there, so it was nice to see him rewarded here.
But seeing those icy blue eyes sets off Scorpion, who decides to end Sub-Zero no matter the cost.
And then Scorpion's attention turns to Sub-Zero.
Sonya goes after Kano, Johnny goes after Sonya, and Liu Kang goes after Shang Tsung.
And then suddenly it's Sub-Zero versus Scorpion.
Scorpion vs. Sub-Zero, round 2, fight.
They are both evenly matched, but Scorpion, now with his added abilities that he's been brought back from the dead with Quan Chi, gets the upper hand. And
So this fight's brutal. It's pretty badass.
This fight is not that long, honestly, and we find out because it's not really the fight he needs to be having.
Again, and a reminder that this is supposed to be a Scorpion movie. We get the death of Sub-Zero.
But Scorpion kills Sub-Zero it's pretty badass. He bear hugs him and jumps off the pit from the first game.
hurls himself and Sub-Zero off a cliff. He impales both of them on a large spike.
When Scorpion throws himself into Sub-Zero into a spike pit.
And they are both impaled on the rocks below.
Sub-Zero is killed instantly, and Scorpion is very badly injured.
And it ends with Scorpion jumping off with Sub-Zero off of this massive bridge onto a pit of spikes, and it impales both of them.
Oh, and they both get brutally nailed through the middle of him.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And it's so Mortal Kombat.
So, winner Scorpion?
But because Scorpion is a freaking zombie demon, he's alive.
While they're lying there, Sub-Zero dead, Scorpion still dead? Who knows?
Now, at this point, Scorpion has not found the key that Quan Chi sent him to retrieve, so Quan Chi appears and reveals that he was in fact disguised as Sub-Zero, and he was the one that ordered the Lin Kuei soldiers to exterminate the entire Shirai Ryu.
And his buddy Quan Chi shows up and tells him the truth.
Quan Chi shows up and for no reason at all reveals to Scorpion that he was the one that killed his family and clan, that he had disguised himself as Sub-Zero to motivate the Lin Kuei, and was Sub-Zero the night that Scorpion died.
That he was actually acting as Sub-Zero and only wanted to get him as a pet.
And then he's like, ha 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 ha, idiot, and teleports away.
Quan Chi was the one. He's the dick. He's the big jerk face. Sub-Zero was never, ever there. Quan Chi only did this as motivation to Hanzo so that he would do his bidding.
Why? Why would you do that, you jackass? That's why Quan Chi sucks.
Quan Chi appears to Scorpion and reveals that he was behind his clan's murder by disguising himself as Sub-Zero and manipulating him into finishing him off for him.
Scorpion ain't having that and vows to get off the spike and kill Quan Chi.
Scorpion obviously is not happy and starts trying to pull himself back up the rock that he's impaled on.
Enraged by this, Scorpion is able to remove himself from the spike and exact his revenge now on Quan Chi.
So our next fight, after the Black Dragon attack, Kano starts to try to get away, and Sonya makes chase. And Johnny chases after him, while Liu Kang splits away to go to Shang Tsung's tower. Sonya gets gets way a head start on Johnny, and she's chasing after Kano, where they go into the dungeons, what looks like where you'd fight Goro in the first game.
Sonya shows up to save Jax, but she's a bit overpowered by a dozen demons in the dungeons.
And it's Motaro and a bunch of just demon-looking things, presumably from Netherrealm and maybe from Outworld. I don't know, but they all look pretty mean.
Hey, it's Motaro, I think. Sonya kicks his ass.
And they do not treat Sonya very well. They start beating her up pretty bad.
Johnny Cage saves her and proceeds to prove that he's not just an actor, he can kick some ass.
One of the monsters is about to bite her face off when you hear, "Here's Johnny!" And Cage comes in and starts beating wholesale ass. To which Sonya replies, "Holy shit, Johnny Cage can fight!"
We also get the whole split punch and here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. Cage shows up just in time to save Sonya's butt at the last second.
It was great.
The two of them beat the crap out of Motaro and all the other monsters, and they chase after Kano, who's trying to kill Sonya with his laser eye.
Sonya and Johnny Cage take off after Kano to rescue Jax, which they do after fighting a bunch of demons, because the tournament clearly doesn't matter anymore.
I love Johnny carrying Sonya for that split second. I mean, folks, this is how you get Cassie Cage.
The two of them team up against Kano.
She swings around on this chain, grabs a mace, and smashes his robot face in.
One of the things that I like that has continued from the 1995 movie is that Kano is now Australian. In the first game, I think he was Japanese American, but in the movie, he's definitely Australian, and that was changed to be the game's and I guess the universe's canon for the character as well moving forward. So that's all because Trevor Goddard. He played Kano, and he had a very Australian accent. "Hello, did you miss me? Give it up, I've studied all your moves. That is probably a awful Australian accent.
He'd run to where he had Jax tied up. Why they didn't just throw him somewhere, who knows? But they save Jax, and as they're escorting him out of the chair that he was tied up to,
Sonya saves Jax from Kano.
Jax is released.
So they're able to rescue Jax,
he stomps Kano's head in,
and they kill Kano.
and he's like, all right, now I'm good.
We think.
And after the gang stops Kano, stomps Kano's face in, crushing his skull.
Maybe. We'll have to wait until the sequel.
So, winner Sonya? Jax? Johnny? All three? Definitely not Kano.
Liu Kang is once again the chosen one. He reaches the throne room where he's going to battle Goro.
The next fight, and one that was going on concurrently with this one, was Liu Kang versus Goro.
Liu Kang vs. Goro.
And it's really not going so great for Liu Kang.
Now we're back to a pretty brutal battle.
This fight is nuts.
They kind of taunt Raiden, Shang Tsung, and Quan Chi, who are Shang Tsung asks Quan Chi, who is standing next to him, like the three of them are watching the tournament, to prepare some drinks to toast to their victory over Earthrealm. You know, the final victory they need. Ha 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 ha.
Liu Kang is able to hold his own for a little bit, but Goro gets the upper hand and just quickly outmatches Liu Kang.
Liu starts to win, starts to fight back, starts to kind of find his rhythm, and starts to really look good. But then we find out that Goro wasn't really fighting for real, and starts to completely dominate the fight again.
He's just mercilessly beating the ever-loving snot out of him. I mean, Liu Kang was such a wimp in Annihilation, and he's not doing much better in Scorpion's Revenge.
Goro just destroyed Liu Kang.
Kang's getting his ass handed to him by Goro.
At this point, Goro tries to do the same move he did to Jax and pull Liu Kang's arms off, and it's working.
Damn near tearing off his arms, too.
Liu's got nothing to do. He can't stop him. His muscles are starting to tear. It looks really gross. And then, holy hell, there's a spear through the back of his freaking head.
Right before Goro is about to tear Liu Kang apart in the fatality where he rips off both his arms and his legs.
Right before Goro can literally tear Liu Kang apart, limb by limb, Scorpion spears Goro through the head.
Scorpion, out of nowhere, with a spear through Goro's head.
Scorpion shows up and just removes Goro's skull.
Who then pulls his skull and part of his spine out of his skin.
It is, it's such a violent film.
And rips his whole skull out.
But it's just murdered from behind by Scorpion.
Holy shit!
Damn.
I love it.
Winner Scorpion?
There's a bunch of trickery.
Quan Chi tried to poison Shang Tsung.
At this point, Shang Tsung reveals that he knew Quan Chi had betrayed Shao Kahn by trying to bring Shinnok back from his prison, and that he also tried to poison Shang Tsung's drink.
And Scorpion is technically the champion who has to battle King.
At this point, Shang Tsung, recognizing that Scorpion is is Quan Chi's like NetherRealm creation, but that he's won, because he's killed Goro, he is now the Outworld champion.
At that point, since Scorpion killed Goro, Shang Tsung says that Scorpion is now the new champion and he must fight Liu Kang.
Shang Tsung offers Quan Chi to Scorpion if he defeats Liu Kang.
And he says, look, if you kill Liu Kang for me, then I will give you Quan Chi, and you can rule in Outworld as a king. Like, you'll never need for anything. Scorpion's like, fine. And he sizes up Liu Kang.
Raiden reminds Scorpion there's always another choice.
So our next fight, and hope maybe the last, Liu Kang versus Scorpion. So Scorpion, again, as I said, is now the champion of Outworld after having killing Goro. Immediately cedes the match to Liu Kang and wins the tournament for Earthrealm.
But concedes, ending the tournament.
Scorpion agrees, but ends up double-crossing Shang and yields to Liu Kang, which means that the Earth Warriors have won the tournament.
Scorpion turns on Shang Tsung and yields to Kang.
Oh, didn't see that come, did you old wizard? Winner, Liu Kang. Champion.
Raiden steps in to stop Shang Tsung because the tournament is over, and Shang Tsung says Shao Kahn will have his revenge.
Shang Tsung, super pissed and defeated, retreats. And his power was presumably the only thing holding this island together, and everything starts to fall apart.
Shang Tsung leaves, and Liu Kang and Raiden book it, but Scorpion stays behind to deal with Quan Chi.
And Shang is in big trouble. He's in deep doo-doo with Big Daddy Shao Kahn.
Liu Kang's like, what about Scorpion? And Raiden's like, his path lies elsewhere. To which it pans over where Quan Chi is still there. And we get our big final match. Scorpion versus Quan Chi.
And then we get the final fight. Scorpion versus Quan Chi.
With everything collapsing around them, Scorpion very quickly, yet again, gains the upper hand.
The two of them are fighting as the whole island crumbles around them.
And Raiden, along with the Earth Warriors, then leave the island as it is beginning to crumble and fall apart.
Liu Kang and the others escape in the nick of time.
Scorpion and Quan Chi enter their fight.
This whole fight is so awesome.
Quan Chi has a ton of great magical power, but Scorpion, he is just a badass. He is such a experienced fighter. He uses all of his skills, especially with his newfound powers that Quan Chi gave him. And these bad guys just kind of screw themselves over.
Kind of feeling stupid for telling this guy who had no reason to tell about your evil plan that totally screwed him over. This guy that killed pretty much everything in NetherRealm the last time he felt screwed over. You're an idiot. Anyway.
Scorpion's fatality move.
So Scorpion's able to get the job done.
He says, get over here.
And tears Quan Chi's arms off.
He spears Quan Chi, rips his arms off,
ending him by cutting off the sorcerer's arms.
He throws spears through each of his biceps near the shoulder and just rips off his arms. Then he impales him with the spear, and we finally get a get over here.
And then performs Sub-Zero's finisher by tearing off his head and spinal column.
Quan Chi, as Scorpion's choking him out, says his god will avenge him. And in response, Scorpion just tears his head off.
He just rips Quan Chi's head off, including his upper spinal cord. He then takes his mask off. He does the fatality of Hellfire. It burns Quan Chi's headless corpse.
And then rips his spine out of his body, pulls off his mask to reveal a flaming skull, and then lights everything on fire.
And he Ghost Rider breaths his body.
And then burning the shit out of him with his skull face.
It's a satisfying end, where Scorpion does indeed get his revenge.
Winner, quite clearly, Scorpion.
This is the best video game adaptation of all time.
Because that's how you end this movie.
So the Earthrealm Warriors and Raiden are sailing away on the boat as the island kind of implodes behind them. Liu Kang's feeling bummed because he was losing to Goro, and if it weren't for Scorpion, he would have been killed. And Raiden says, oh, but your destiny is not to defeat Goro. Your destiny is to defeat Shao Kahn.
Then we end with a tease of Shao Kahn.
In the end of the movie, we're back in Outworld. Shang Tsung is facing Shao Kahn's punishment for failing to win the final tournament, the 10th tournament that would allow Shao Kahn to come on into Earthrealm.
We then cut to Shang Tsung, who's clearly being punished. He's spitting up blood, and he's just not having a good time. Apologizing, saying it was Scorpion. I had no plan for him, blah, blah, blah. Shao
Kahn orders for him to gather all the forces because he is going to end the cycle of the tournament.
And we see that he's being admonished by the great Shao Kahn, who says it's time to end this crap once and for all.
And he's coming to Earthrealm.
And credits.
And that's it. That's where the movie ends. Now I want more.
Honestly, though, I really dug this flick.
Yeah, this movie was awesome. I've been saying it since it came out last year. This is the best Mortal Kombat movie by far.
Overall, this is a fun, breezy take on a familiar story and really makes me hope they continue to do more of these animated films.
Well, at least until the new one comes out, which as of this recording hasn't yet, and if it's anything like this one, it'll be amazing. So fingers crossed.
It's the best of the three so far. I don't know if that's fair to compare them again with this being animation and those being live action, and of course having a 20-year gap in how it was told, but I stand by it.
The animation looks solid. I really couldn't pick out anything that looked like it was done by a B-level or C-level animation department if they offloaded anything. I don't think so. I think Warner Brothers did a great job with this animation. I was surprised that something this violent came from Warner Brothers Studio, especially in the form of animation.
It's worth noting that this isn't Mortal Kombat's first foray into animation. Like I mentioned in the first episode, there was a straight to VHS animated short, and then later a full animated series called Defenders of the Realm, which actually debuted Quan Chi before he was put into the games.
What I appreciated most about this movie, it's not limited by special effects budget because it's animated, which means most of the finishing moves in the games can be shown, regardless how it fits the plot.
But this This one just annihilated all of those.
My favorite fighters, or fight, I can't say I have a favorite fighter, but my favorite fight is the whole opening sequence with Hanzo back in the village. That just sets, it sets the tone for the movie, and B, it displays how good of a fighter and warrior Hanzo is. And that's before he even takes on the Scorpion moniker, before he gets all these additional powers and abilities. He just was on another level above these other warriors. Now, could he have beaten Bi-Han originally? I don't know. Possibly. According to the games, he couldn't, but maybe he could have. But he was fighting Quan Chi at the time. We just didn't know it.
Clearly setting up a sequel. I don't know if we'll ever get one, but I hope we do. It was really good.
But I would love to see more films or a series. If they're going to produce more, I will be watching it.
In fact, each film could take on a particular set of characters and game in the series.
Hopefully we'll do more of these animated features and focus on individual characters. I'd like to see one about, Kung Lao or the real reptile, or who knows.
Since Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Quan Chi have had the spotlight, let the next film focus on Liu Kang's journey as the tournament moves to Outworld. The third could be about Katana's history with Shao Kahn, her mother Sindel, her sister Melina, and so on, just as Khan invades Earth. Just a suggestion I have that will hopefully come to fruition in some way.
I hope they make more. I don't know if they are, but I hope they make sequels to this.
Goro was a beast, and for everyone who thinks he was just a sub-boss in the games, now they can see how damn big that guy was. I really like the voice acting for the humans. I'm sure I'm missing some people who are known voice actors, but you know what? Give me a brand name person every once in a while, and I'll be happy.
Look, at the end of the day, the cast does a nice job. The action is really well animated. It's gory as hell. It's super, super violent.
This really is the Mortal Kombat movie that we've always wanted. I love the 95 movie. It's got a lot of nostalgia for me. I grew up with that thing. And I would not have been allowed to watch this movie at that age growing up if it had been out earlier. But this really does do the games justice. And it takes all the story elements from the games and does something really interesting with it.
It really hits all the beats of the first Mortal Kombat game, and at the same time, getting a bit deeper into Scorpion's experience in becoming Scorpion as we know him. It's certainly much more than we'd seen prior to this.
This film was also just filled with Easter eggs. Some of the ones, there's a lot. Some of the ones, Johnny Cage does a friendship again to one of Shang Tsung's monks on the island. There's a scene where there's two unknown attendants are actually doing the Test Your Might challenge from the first game. Nitara makes a cameo appearance. A bunch of the fights happen in actual places in the games. The Crossroads, Quan Chi's Fortress, the Kuatan Jungle, Shang Tsung's Garden, and Throne Room. Plus, we've got the classic, infamous pit. You can't have a cartoon or movie without the pit.
The best part of this movie is basically the origin of Scorpion. Seeing how they recreated it for the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie, they had a good base to begin with.
Just overall, this was a great animated movie. This is everything I've been looking for from a Mortal Kombat game to be in a full movie.
I actually really can honestly recommend Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge.
But good stuff. Hopefully we'll see more of it.
I think it's a solid entry in the series. Go check it out, and I doubly love that we might get more. Who knows? Because the way they ended it, we could keep telling the story.
But the end of the film does set up what could be a sequel focused on Liu Kang, so that could be fun.
They definitely set up for a sequel. I really hope they deliver on it. I would watch a whole series of these. I would watch 10 of these.
And I'm here for it.
This is great.
Podcasters Assemble will return in 2021's Mortal Kombat.
The fighters will return in Mortal Kombat 2021.
Next time on Podcasters Assemble.
First learned about this 7 years ago. On a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, it tore through our unit in seconds. The target had superhuman abilities. It had the same marking you do, Cole.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking? I think it's an invitation to fight for something known. Mortal Kombat.
These are your champions.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
I'm Liu Kang.
Name's Jax.
Kung Lao. Lord Raiden. The fate of Earth is in our hands. No matter how many of my people you put in the ground, we will not fail. Kill them.
I am Sub-Zero. Get over here! Finish them! Kano wins. You f***ing beauty.
Podcasters Assemble is a production of the We Can Make This Work, Probably Podcast Network. Find more of our shows at probablywork.com and learn how to contribute to future episodes of Podcasters Assemble by looking us up on Twitter and Instagram at Casters Assemble or joining our Discord page, link in the show notes. Submissions are always open. Intro and outro written by Eric Slater. Music by Deathstroke Sound. You can find more of his music on Instagram at Deathstroke Sound and on Twitter at Deathstroke1. This episode was edited by Eric Slater. Thank you to everyone who was able to contribute to this episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for links where you can find them all online. Thank you.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.
Hey, this is Chris from Comic Zombie and from Epic Fails. That. Sorry.
All right, check 1, check 2. This is a real thing that we do for levels. Checking 1, checking 2.
And today we're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. Oh, that was terrible.
Scorpion's Revenge. Scorpion's Revenge. Scorpion's Revenge.
Nothing's as good as going live on the radio and then not being live because you didn't check your levels and you had the wrong button pressed. That's not embarrassing. We're not professional.
But just because something's animated doesn't make it for kids. I think the advent of Japanese anime has really kind of changed the game a little bit. And we've slowly, I think, started to see a shift here in the West. Obviously, there's a lot of animated sitcoms, shows by like Seth MacFarlane, like Family Guy. And of course, you got The Simpsons, which has been running, 30 seasons or something at this point. So there's a lot of animated content out there now that isn't geared towards kids anymore. And hell, even the ones that are like the Pixar movies have really taken things to a whole nother level in a lot of ways. But I feel like that perception still kind of remains.
Hanzo Hasashi, a very skilled warrior of the Shirai Ryu. One of those has got to be correct. Eric, please help me. I hope that's correct. I'm going to get massacred. I know it.
And as anyone who's ever been in a comic shop in the last 20 years can tell you, just because something is a comic book doesn't mean it's one thing. There's a wide variety of different styles, different genres. Not everything's capes. Not everything's teenage angst. Thanks to some of the publishers beyond just DC and Marvel, like Image Comics, we have all these amazing creators making very profound, very deep, intricate stories in that visual medium that probably won't get the recognition they deserve for years to come. And I feel like it's the same thing with animation.
And he was the one that ordered the Lin Kuei soldiers to exterminate the entire Shiri Ryu. I'm going to fix that. maybe. Pick which one is correct.
Whenever something like this comes around, I do my best to try and get the word out, to try and support it as much as I can. I really have appreciated what Warner Brothers Animation has been doing with a lot of their DC animated movies. In a lot of ways, a good majority of those movies are in some cases better than their live action counterparts, which is crazy. And it's really funny because Disney owns Marvel now, but the Marvel movies are way better than their animated Marvel shows, which I think the reason is because all the Marvel cartoons, they're aiming at kids, whereas the DC stuff, it's for the fans who have grown up with this stuff. It's for the people who actually care about these characters, and they do their best to do it justice. And what's really cool is there's been a few cases when they do their best to emulate the art style of the comic books themselves. Like for Justice League The New Frontier, it looked just like Darwin Cook's artwork come to life. For Batman Hush, they at least attempted to make it look a little bit like Jim Lee's style.
They are ambushed by a bunch of Lin Kuei warriors. I got that one right. Eric, give me one, please. Right? One, at least?
Ew, sorry. Jesus Christ.
You want to murder that cold-hearted f***er. Oh, that's got to be... I don't know, a punching noise there. Sorry.
I mean, you got Batman the Animated Series, which was, for the time, pretty dark and gritty. It started out as like a grounded noir detective story. It was basically geared towards adults, but made appropriate for kids, which I think is brilliant. Samurai Jack is another one. Tartakovsky really raised the bar for animation with that series, especially with that last season. And then, of course, I've got to mention the new Invincible series, which basically took Robert Kirkman's comic and brought it to life. And in case you don't know what that is, it's actually gorier than this movie. It is not at all for kids, and it's awesome. I actually wrote a series of articles about it on comiczombie.net, so go check those out when you get a chance.
Hello, did you miss me? Give it up, I've studied all your moves. That is probably a awful Australian accent. Eric, ask MC if that is a good... it's actually, you know what? Don't ask him. That is bad. MC doesn't know me. I don't want him to hate me yet. Let him hate me naturally. I don't need help.
Seriously, if you like this, do yourself a favor and watch Invincible. That show is great.
The only thing that could have made this better was that we had the Utah Saints and that techno. Fort! I don't know what I'm doing next, but until next time, podcasters,
get over here!
Assemble.
Podcasters, assemble!
Mortal Podcast! Choose your mic.